Welcome back to the Wine Crush. I'm Laura Lawson, and somehow my producer tells me that was Christmas music. Good luck with that. It sounds like a bad TV show. Well, right now we have a great guest. We have Steve Heimoff. And when I'm talking about the American wine culture, this man can personify it. Because ultimately he has a degree in educational technology. In 1980, he started teaching himself about wine, whether it was through reading books, collecting books, drinking, whatever it took to learn about wine. And now, of course, he has written for the Wine Spectator. He is with the Wine Enthusiast now, and he's author of 3 different books on the wine business. This, of course, is a man who can help me define the American wine culture. Steve, welcome to the Crush.
Hey, Laura, what's up?
How are you today?
I am good, but it's cold out here in California.
Cold? What is it, 60?
No, it was actually last night it was about 17 up in Sonoma County. And here in the Bay Area, it was about 32, which is pretty darn cold for us.
That is cold for y'all, but of course it brings to mind my favorite quote. The coldest winter I ever spent was summer in San Francisco.
Mark Twain, right?
Yes, my old buddy.
But the grapevines love this kind of weather. It's not good for crops like strawberries and other type things that grow, but the grapevines love it because it sends them into dormancy. Which they like to do. They like to sleep for the long winter. And also the cold kills some of the winter bugs.
Those lucky things.
So actually the vintners and the growers are pretty happy about this, even though if the rest of us are bundling up and turning the heat on.
Well, they're all excited, and actually I'm jealous. If I could actually take a hibernation for the month of December, I think I'd want to be a grapevine at this point. So.
Well, yeah, there you go.
All right.
Then you'd have to produce next summer, though.
I'm barely producing now. Ask anybody. All right. Well, Steve, you definitely have the background. Between all the writing you've done, the fact that you are self-educated when it comes to wine, you have a handle on what it is that American wine culture is. Enlighten us. Tell us your view of it.
What
I've
American
stumped
wine
you.
culture is? Well, it's growing. You know, it used to be non-existent. I mean, after Prohibition, the government killed the wine industry or the whole alcoholic beverage industry, and so when it was repealed 70 years ago or whatever it was, there was no wine culture, and it's taken that long to build it up. And I think what happened was the baby boomers, my generation, discovered wine or rediscovered it, and now you have, of course, a whole new generation of Generation X, Generation Y, the millennials. They're into wine.
The why nots.
Gigantic involvement and experimentation by young people with wine, and I think that's it's wonderful. You know, the baby boomers are handing off wine to the millennials, and it's in real good hands.
I think it is too, and the reason why I put you on the spot about that. Obviously, you started writing in the 80s. You started when wine was just slowly creeping into our consciousness as a country.
Yeah.
And
it was like an underground thing back then.
It was. You know, it was one of those things. The farmers knew about it, and the people who imported everything from France knew about it, but the rest of us were kind of in the dark. But you taught yourself. You were with The Spectator when it first really kicked into gear. Obviously, you're with The Enthusiast, one of my favorite magazines right now, and you have understood the transition into the multimedia and doing an intelligent wine blog, which my hat's off to you. There are so few out there.
Yeah.
So how do we, as media people, how do we as true wine aficionados, wine lovers, and we'd like to say at least moderately educated about wine, how do we help this burgeoning wine culture along? Are we hurting it by talking about all of the romanticism and all the formality of wine, or should we be educating them along these lines?
You know, that's a great question, and you mentioned the blogs, and I'm so glad I started blogging because it really, it sort of gave me a glimpse into a whole level of wine conversation that's happening in America and abroad also. And the question that you asked is really central to the conversation that's happening out there in the blogosphere, which is that where's the line between snobbery and elitism and getting, really involved in the language of wine as opposed to keeping wine simple and not making people be intimidated or afraid of it. And it's a great conversation because obviously there is no simple answer. I mean,
There's not, and it's something I've been in the business for, like I said, a lot of years. And this whole little diatribe I have been on for the last couple of weeks stemmed from the fact that I had some friends who did not want to come to a holiday drop-in because they couldn't figure out what wine to bring and they were scared they wouldn't know enough. And they literally gave up. They literally gave up a holiday and a party where I serve just as much liquor as I do wine because they were intimidated, and that has just set my teeth on edge. And so I guess what I have been searching for lately, I have seen the answers in some of your opinions and, of course, some of your blogs and some of your books. And I was just curious if anyone else shared the same opinion I did or if I was missing something somewhere.
Well, I think it's a paradox, isn't it? Because, on the one hand, people like me want to tell consumers, don't be afraid of this stuff. I mean, if you want to pour some red wine with your white wine, do it. Nobody cares. It's not wrong.
Hell, blend
if you want
it.
to put a little paper umbrella in your wine with a slice of orange, do it. No, it's not wrong. On the other hand, my job is to educate people about wine, both especially in my magazine, but to some extent in my blog. And I know a lot about wine because I've studied it for 30 years now. So I don't know exactly what the answer is, except that we all have our tasks in life, and mine has different hats. I mean, I have one voice on my blog, I have one voice in the magazine, and I have a third voice when I'm just out there talking to people one-on-one or giving a speech.
And a fourth voice once you've had 4 glasses of Chardonnay, and of course then there's always my voice that everyone wants to shut down.
And a fifth, and a sixth, and a seventh, and an eighth, and at some point I better shut up when I've had. But
it's kind of a voice at that point.
And the nice thing is that America's a big enough country where people can plug in wherever they're comfortable.
Well,
if all they want is $2 Chuck, fine, God bless them. I mean, I think that's great, But if they want to take it to another level and subscribe to a wine magazine and start reading 8 blogs a day, that's fine too.
Hey,
so I don't really see it as an either or. It's kind of a
both. Hey, Steve, speaking of plugging in, because we're getting ready to wrap this up, where can our listeners plug in and read more about what you have to say?
Well, I blog 5 days a week at SteveHeimoff.com. That's SteveHeimoff.com. And it's a great blog. It's really popular in the wine industry, and I get to talk in a voice that I can't in my magazine, so it's very fulfilling.
Yes, I enjoy blogging because I get to use the little words Ken won't let me. Well, Steve, thank you very much for being part of the Crush. I am looking forward to reading more about your blogs, and hopefully, who knows, maybe we can inspire you to do something about the American wine culture on your own.
Thanks, Laura. Nice to be here.
All right, Steve, you have a great holiday, and we will talk with you again.